training on Mount Evie. On the top of Mount Evie, the bright moonlight bathed everything in a magical and tranquil glow. The entire mountain peak shimmered under the ethereal light, creating an atmosphere that was both solemn and mysterious. Tommy and Rondu stood facing each other, the silver beams illuminating their faces and casting long shadows across the ground. The serenity of the night was palpable, the silence only broken by the occasional rustle of leaves and the soft whisper of the wind. Tammy broke the silence, his voice echoing in the stillness of the full moon night. "I will teach you the silver moonlight techniques tonight," he said, his tone reverent and determined. This training session was a significant milestone in Rondu's journey, and the moonlit night provided the perfect backdrop for mastering these advanced techniques. Lunar Arrow. Tammy began with the Lunar Arrow, a technique that required both precision and stability. He held an iron bar in his hand, demonstrating how to grip it firmly yet flexibly. "Feel the weight and balance," Tommy instructed, showing Rondu how to aim the bar at the target with unwavering focus. With a swift, controlled movement, Tommy released the iron bar. It flew straight like an arrow, its path illuminated by the moonlight, and struck the center of the target with a satisfying thud. Rondu watched closely, absorbing every detail. He took an iron bar, mimicking Tommy's stance and grip. The first few attempts were shaky, the bars veering off course. But with each try, he felt the movement becoming more natural, his grip more confident. He concentrated on the stability and power of the shot, envisioning the iron bar piercing through the moonlit air. Gradually, his throws became more precise, each one hitting closer to the center of the target. Moonbeam Slice. Next, Tammy introduced the Moonbeam Slice. He stepped forward and demonstrated how to create a smooth, graceful arc when launching the iron bar. "Imagine the bar as a beam of moonlight," Tommy explained, his movements fluid and deliberate. The iron bar flew in a beautiful curve, glinting like silver in the moonlight, and struck the target with an elegant, sweeping motion. Rondu practiced this movement, trying to capture the grace and delicacy that made the iron bar fly like a strip of silver light. At first, his throws were clumsy, the bars wobbling in the air. But with Tommy's guidance and his own persistence, Rondu began to understand the technique. He focused on the fluidity of his movements, the smooth release of the bar. Slowly but surely, his throws became more refined, each one tracing a graceful arc through the night sky. Celestial Rain. Tammy then moved on to Celestial Rain, a technique that involved launching multiple iron bars in rapid succession. He emphasized the importance of keeping a steady hand and maintaining accurate aim for each throw. "Imagine silver raindrops falling from the sky," Tommy said, his hands moving with rhythmic precision. The iron bars flew out one after the other, creating a series of consecutive, overwhelming attacks. Rondu took several iron bars, his mind focused on the rhythm and continuity of the movements. His first attempts were erratic, the bars flying in different directions, but with each practice session, he improved. He concentrated on the synchronization of his movements, the steady flow of throws. The iron bars began to fly out like silver raindrops, their paths consistent and their impact powerful. Stardust Arc. The next technique, Stardust Arc, required a high degree of control and finesse. Tammy raised the iron bar high above his head, then threw it down with a spinning motion, creating a curve like a meteor streak. "This move enhances the bar's wide-area attack ability," Tammy explained, his eyes following the arc of the iron bar as it circled through the air and struck the target. Rondu tried to replicate the movement, his first attempts awkward and off balance. The iron bars spun wildly, missing the target. But with Tammy's encouragement and his own determination, Rondu began to find the right balance and timing. He practiced the spinning motion, adjusting his grip and stance. Gradually, the bars started to follow the intended path, their arcs smooth and their impacts precise. Each throw created a dazzling curve in the moonlight, like a streak of stardust. Eclipse Strike. Tammy then demonstrated the Eclipse Strike, a technique that required absolute agility and precision. He launched the iron bar at high speed, causing it to disappear into the darkness before reappearing right in front of the target. "This move relies on speed and surprise," Tommy explained, his hand moving so quickly that the iron bar seemed to vanish for a moment. Rondu practiced this technique with intense focus, his movements initially too slow to achieve the desired effect. He worked on increasing his speed and honing his aim, each attempt bringing him closer to mastering the move. The iron bars began to fly faster, their sudden appearance near the target creating a surprising and effective attack. Rondu felt the thrill of the technique, the satisfaction of achieving the speed and precision needed for the eclipse strike. Twilight Flare. Finally, Tammy introduced Twilight Flare, a technique that involved launching the iron bar with a twist, creating a streak of silver light through the air. "Imagine the last ray of light before the darkness envelops the night," Tommy said, his hand moving with swift, twisting precision. The iron bar flew fast and powerfully, its path a dazzling flare of silver light. Rondu practiced this movement, feeling the strength and decisiveness in each launch. His first attempts were clumsy, the bars lacking the necessary twist and power. But with persistence and Tommy's guidance, Rondu improved. He focused on the twisting motion, the forceful release of the bar. Gradually, his throws became more powerful, each one creating a brilliant streak of silver light in the moonlit night. Mastering the techniques. Over the following weeks, Rondu dedicated himself to mastering these 6 techniques. Each night under the full moon, he practiced tirelessly, refining his movements and perfecting his aim. The tranquil and magical atmosphere of Mount Avi provided the perfect setting for his training, the moonlight illuminating his every move. The passage of time. 10 years had passed since Rondu first stepped foot on the summit of Mount Avi. The once naive and eager student had transformed into a seasoned warrior, molded by the harsh conditions and relentless training imposed by his master, Tammy. Each day brought new challenges, whether it was the blistering heat of summer, the biting cold of winter, torrential downpours, or heavy snowstorms. Despite the grueling environment, Rondu remained unwavering in his dedication, his resolve as steadfast as the mountain itself. The Fire Dragon Fist. The initial struggle. In the early years, Rondu focused intently on mastering the Fire Dragon Fist. This powerful technique required not only physical strength, but also the ability to harness and control one's inner passion. Tammy explained that the essence of the Fire Dragon Fist lay in channeling fiery energy into every punch, igniting a metaphorical dragon within. At first, Rondu found it challenging to balance power with control. His punches were either too wild, wasting energy, or too timid, lacking impact. Tammy emphasized the need to find the right balance, guiding Rondu through rigorous exercises designed to build both physical and mental discipline. Mastery of the technique. Over time, Rondu's efforts began to pay off. He learned to summon and direct the fiery energy with precision. His punches grew stronger, each one carrying the formidable force of a fire dragon's wrath. The training pushed Rondu to his limits, but he persisted, driven by the vision of mastering this ancient technique. The culmination of his training was marked by the ability to generate intense heat with his fists, a true testament to his mastery of the Fire Dragon Fist. The Shadow Cloud Kick training in darkness. Following his progress with the Fire Dragon Fist, Rondu turned his attention to the Shadow Cloud Kick. This martial art required unparalleled flexibility and agility. Tammy introduced the training under the cover of darkness, where Rondu had to learn to move silently and strike from hidden positions, blending into the shadows like a wraith. Initially, Rondu struggled to navigate and fight in the dark. His movements were noisy, and his kicks lacked the surprise element crucial to the technique. Tammy taught him to listen to the subtle cues in his environment, to move with the quiet grace of a cloud drifting through the night, becoming one with the shadows. With relentless practice, Rondu's kicks became faster, sharper, and more precise. He learned to disappear into the mist, delivering blows that seemed to come out of nowhere. Each kick was executed with the finesse of a breeze passing by and disappearing without a trace. This technique not only enhanced his physical agility, but also honed his mental focus, enabling him to anticipate and react with lightning speed. The Ice Storm Sword training in harsh conditions. Having conquered the Shadow Cloud Kick, Rondu moved on to the Ice Storm Sword. Under Tommy's watchful eye, he practiced each sword stroke in the extreme cold and bitter winds of Mount Avi. The conditions were brutal, but they mirrored the essence of the technique, resilience and precision under pressure. The initial stages were grueling. The icy winds sapped Rondu's strength, making his movements stiff and sluggish. However, Tommy's relentless drills pushed him to adapt. He learned to move with the fluidity of a snowstorm, each slash and thrust cutting through the air with chilling accuracy. The power and sophistication of ice. Over time, Rondu mastered the various techniques of the Ice Storm sword, from Frostfang to Glacial Wave. Each stroke carried both the elegance and destructive power of ice. His sword became an extension of his will, capable of delivering powerful, precise attacks in any condition. The once daunting cold became his ally, enhancing his focus and strength. The Silver Moonlight training under the Moonlight. The final challenge was the Silver Moonlight technique, which required precision and calmness under the serene light of the full moon. Each night, under the silvery glow, Rondu practiced the delicate art of throwing iron bars with pinpoint accuracy. The tranquility of the night complemented the technique's elegance, allowing Rondu to refine his skills with a clear mind and steady hand. Mastering the throws from Lunar Arrow to Twilight Flare, Rondu dedicated himself to perfecting each throw. The iron bars flew out like rays of silver light, each one more precise and powerful than the last. The training demanded not just physical dexterity, but also a meditative focus, blending strength with serenity. Over time, Rondu's throws became flawless, each iron bar striking its target with unerring accuracy. Tommy's pride. Tommy, who had taken over 30 years to master these techniques, watched Rondu with pride and admiration. It only took you 10 years to complete the training of Fire Dragon Fist, Ice Storm Sword, Shadow Cloud Kick, and Silver Moonlight, Tommy said, his voice filled with genuine awe. It took me more than 30 years to learn these 4 martial arts. Rondu smiled, his eyes reflecting both pride and humility. He knew that his journey was far from over, but the foundation he had built over the past decade was solid and strong. The hardships he had endured had shaped him into an indomitable warrior, ready to face any challenge that lay ahead. Reflecting on the journey, Rondu stood on the summit of Mount Evie, reflecting on the 10 years of intense training. Each technique he had mastered was not just a testament to his physical prowess, but also to his mental fortitude and unyielding spirit. The Fire Dragon Fist had taught him to harness and control his inner fire, channeling it into powerful, precise strikes. The Shadow Cloud Kick had honed his agility and stealth, allowing him to move like a whisper in the dark. The Ice Storm Sword had refined his resilience and precision, making him a master of the blade in any condition. Finally, the Silver Moonlight had instilled in him the importance of calmness and accuracy, each throw a blend of strength and serenity.